Well, hello, and welcome back. It's so nice to have you join me again, and happy Wednesday to you. Can you believe already the middle of the week? So much has gone on, and you've probably seen the news. Well, today actually was a great day on the market. I think it could be because of my next guest, but whatever it is, we'll take it. Certainly, there was a lot of information that came out of the federal relief program. We know that there's going to be more money coming to our small business owners, but more on that later. Today, the Dow closed up 450 points. The Nasdaq was up, also celebrating another 232 points, which was a welcome from the last few days because certainly we've had some really rough patches this week, and that was a good day today. A lot of information has come up. First off, which I thought was very, very interesting, at the S&P, over 84% of the S&P companies have reported earnings, and believe it or not, 67% reported better than expected earnings. This includes fast casual restaurant Chipotle, reported much better earnings because they really embraced sort of digital online ordering. And so their consumers continue to love that Mexican cuisine. And we saw Snapchat also doing very, very well as Texas Instruments. But enough about that. Those of you who are out there, you have your own businesses. I know because I get a chance to speak with many of you and did so today earlier on our tweet chat. And many of you are in different parts of the country. I know, looking at your businesses, talking to your employees, and wondering what more you can do for yourself, your community, your employees, as well as your family. Well, today I am so honored to be joined by an amazing guest. We have Bharath Kadaba joining us as the Chief Innovation Officer at Intuit. And Intuit is, as many of you know, is a company that I have certainly loved working with. And this is a treat. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Winnie, for inviting me today.
Oh, absolutely, Barbara. So where are you joining us from currently today?
I'm actually obviously working from home in San Francisco, but my normal location is in Mountain View. That's where I work.
Oh, you're usually in Mountain View. Mountain View is a beautiful place and certainly a lot of great food out there. Thank you so much for joining from the Northern California area. And certainly a lot of changes have occurred. So, I think we would love to learn a little bit about you. Could you give us maybe an intro? Give us an intro. Tell us about yourself.
Yes. So I lead an innovation team at Intuit. We're very focused on solving some of the harder customer problems that our small businesses and consumers face. As you know, QuickBooks, Mint, and TurboTax are the brand names that we have, which are obviously, that's how a lot of the world knows about Intuit. And I have responsibility for, across those products, what are the most innovative things that we should be doing in order to solve some of the harder customer problems that we face.
Well, I completely agree. These are products that myself as a business owner, I have used for many, many years. I've actually, when I remember when I first started filing taxes, I used TurboTax, and then obviously use QuickBooks for my business now. And I don't know how I could actually, I talk to my accountant all the time. I was like, I don't know how we could keep track of everything if we didn't use QuickBooks. So certainly Intuit is a name that many of us are familiar with. And I got to get a quick shout out and say hello to Cheval John joining us from Houston, Texas, also a small business owner. It's great to have you join us. Thank you so much for being here. When we talk about, we had a conversation today about sort of a lot of the financial challenges that we're seeing in the community today. We read about how, like I have a client who's a hairstylist right now. Obviously he's always been used to be able to just go in, cut hair, run his business, have customers come in, and even myself and my team, like we're scattered in different parts of the city right now. We're not on one place. There's a lot of challenges that you're hearing from your customers. What are some of the sort of the underlying consistencies that you've been hearing at Intuit?
So as you know, Intuit is what I would say customer obsessed company. So our mission statement is powering prosperity for our customers.
We like prosperity.
Exactly. And now with COVID-19, as you know, we are facing tremendous challenges. And I think of small businesses and self-employed, who are the backbone of pretty much every economy around the world.
Absolutely.
We hear stories where potentially 1 out of those 4 small businesses are in a very dire situation. So the challenges are real. And that's the one that's actually getting us all excited in the company to figure out how to apply technologies as fast as we possibly can, because the challenges are happening right now for our customers. So how do we bring some of our technologies to bear to solve some of these customer problems that they are facing right now? So there is a lot of passion for that.
There's a lot of appetite there. It's so true. You talk to restaurant owners and you even drive around. Like I went to the office on Monday just to pick up mail, and you drive by company after company after company. And typically, these companies are bustling with cars, right? People going in and out, conducting business. And I think in some ways, we almost took for granted how easy it was to do business. But this has sort of taken us all to a place that we've never been, a complete halt for business owners. So, I think that that's something that us as business owners, people who love our employees, we love our clients in my case, and customers, we want to find ways where we can get back to business, right? Be able to take care of the people that matter most to us, but we feel like we need help. And obviously we've seen some aid in the form of the EIDL and the PPP, but I feel like there's a lot of misinformation. In fact, yesterday I got on the phone and after a very busy day of work, I got on my phone and called a couple of my good friends, and one of my friends is a big YouTuber, right? And he's in Washington. And I said, I just want to call and say, did you file for your PPP? He's like, what's a PPP? So I feel like there's still a lot of opportunity of like not a lot of people, like some of us know, obviously you and I know because this is the world that we're in, but there's still a lot of businesses out there, entrepreneurs who don't know, because sometimes that information is very hard to find, right? It's scattered. We see it in the news, but there's got to be a good place. So maybe we should I really want to talk about Intuit's Aid Assist tool because I love it. And maybe you could explain it to us. And while we do that, we're going to let those of you who are watching today kind of see what this looks like if you go online.
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about what got us to this particular tool that we built, which is, as you mentioned, it is called aidassist.intuit.com. That's where you go. Mm-hmm. So it actually works on all devices, including mobile devices. So what we observed a few weeks back is, as you correctly pointed out, the massive challenge of some of the aid relief that is coming from the federal government is so much, and there is so many different interpretations of what it is that the federal government is doing and who is actually eligible for what kind of loan.
It's confusing.
An incredible amount of confusion, right? Mm-hmm. So we saw our customers, as you pointed out, struggle. Either they did not know about it, and if they knew about it, they didn't quite know which of these programs were eligible. And then, by the way, the rules were actually coming down over the last 3 weeks. There have been more and more improvements to what the rules and regulations are. So it's not even like it's a one publication that you have to look at and explains clearly what it is that you need to do. It's all happening in real time. So what we decided to do was, we decided to dedicate a team that is based on all of our experience that we have with TurboTax. And if you have used TurboTax, you said you have used it. So it's really a simple question and answer way of entering your data to figure out what kind of taxes you have to pay. So we took that idea, and core in that idea is something called the knowledge engine. So it is a AI technology that we have been building for a bunch of years, 10 years perhaps now, that powers TurboTax. So we took that technology, and then we actually went through about 800 plus pages of rules and regulations that are about these relief programs. We codified all of that into 5 to 10 questions that you actually have to answer. So you, as a small business owner, don't have to worry about understanding all of those 800 pages and keeping track of the daily new rules that are showing up. Mm-hmm. Not worry about all of that, but simply go to our site, Aid Assist, and then you are led through a simple set of 5 to 10 questions that you have to answer. And the kinds of questions that we're answering, by the way, are things like, what loan am I eligible for?
Thank you. That's something everybody doesn't know right now.
That's the first question. The second question is, assume that you now believe that you're eligible for the PPP program, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. Mm-hmm. Right? It's largely for people who are either self-employed or have employees where you now have to figure out how to sustain yourself through this crisis. And the interesting thing with that is not only there is that loan that you're eligible for, you have to figure out how much of that loan can I get? That what is the loan that I can actually get at? And the most important thing, by the way, of that loan is what is the forgiveness amount?
Right.
What is that amount that the government is willing to forgive me for, which is a piece that actually I don't have to pay back? And that's actually the most interesting thing. So in our conversations with customers, we discovered that that forgiveness amount is the most important one. So we built all of that capability into the tool. So if you go back and show the tool, I can kind of quickly walk you through what it does, because I think it's really important to just take a look at what we have built, because of the simplicity in which it actually does that. So there are 3 tabs to the tool as you enter. So the first tab really talks about the loan eligibility. So as you mentioned, there are 2 kinds of disaster loans, right? One is called EIDL, which is Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL. And the second one is the Paycheck Protection Program, right? So the first one is about which of those are you eligible for? And the second one really is around what is the amount of loan, and the third one is what is the forgiveness. In fact, when we see how this tool is being used by our customers, because we track the usage of the tool, most people are actually going into the forgiveness amount. That's what most people are interested in. Is what is it that I'm actually forgiven for? And turns out, by the way, the forgiveness calculation is the most complex of all. There are possibly about 60 different paths that you can actually take to actually figure out your particular what the return is, and then we actually therefore simplify all of that into simple steps. That's what we're really proud of. And then the underlying technology that made it all happen. And remember, we had to literally build it in a few days. So that's what we had to do. By the way, today we are actually updating this site. Why? Because as you probably know, the Senate approved a second tranche of money that's coming out, hopefully signed tomorrow.
Hopefully tomorrow, right? Hopefully it goes to House tomorrow. We hopefully get that signed. It's a $484 billion package, and all indications that it probably will be signed tomorrow. So certainly, I think one of the things that we need to focus on is the PPP is simply a financial lifeline for so many small businesses, self-employed individuals, and there's been a lot of confusion about, like you said, can I sign up for this loan? Where do I go? And a lot of attention has been focused on certain banks not being able to provide those loans quickly enough for their customers, having a lot of guidelines, having a lot of ambiguity of just like, where do I go? So I think this is very, very helpful. What else is Intuit doing during the pandemic that we should talk about?
So the interesting thing is, as I said, the company is so obsessed with a customer sort of focus. There are a bunch of things that we are doing across the company. I can't tell you every one of them, but the big ones that we are doing is Gofundme is the first thing that we actually launched, which is in partnership with Gofundme. What we can do is set up the opportunity to raise funds for any one of your small businesses that you know. So for example, there is a deli that's very close to our office in Mountain View. That was one of the first ones that actually started that. So now we have extended that to any small business that can get that ability to raise funds for them. That's one of the programs. The second one, by the way, is related to PPP itself. Intuit actually now is a SBA approved lender as of a couple of days back. And we're now starting to take applications for QuickBooks customers who are now eligible to apply for PPP. So they can actually go to QuickBooks Capital and then apply for a loan with our QuickBooks product. And the nice thing about that is it's all electronic. So you're able to, for example, get the data from your payroll into our capital, and all of that data lets you actually qualify for the loans. We auto figure out what your amount of loan is, and then we apply it for you electronically.
So let me understand this. Let me circle back real quick. So you're telling me, so for example, I do my bookkeeping through QuickBooks, right? So hypothetically, if I wanted to apply for my PPP loan, I could do so through QuickBooks Capital versus my business bank. I wouldn't have to go through that route. I could actually do it directly through QuickBooks Capital because I'm a QuickBooks customer, correct?
The QuickBooks customer, if you have payroll, that's the first. So we're actually opening up the gates for you in terms of which one of those customers come in first. So we're servicing all of the payroll customers who are QuickBooks payroll customers, and then we're expanding the gate. And we're also looking at self-employed as an opportunity. So all of this, by the way, is happening in real time as I speak.
Mm-hmm.
So every hour, I get updates within the company as to who is working on what and what are we trying to actually do. So it changes in real time. So this is all happening, in real time. And a lot of us, by the way, have been working pretty much 24/7 over the last 4 weeks to make all of this happen, because we do have to build software to make all of this happening, right? So how to build that software very fast, test it, and then, of course, work with the federal government, because we have to work with the SBA in order to make sure that they approve any of the loans that we actually want to provision.
Well, Bharath, I gotta tell you, John Lim, attorney in Baltimore, Maryland, is saying cool. So John is very happy to hear this. So I give that a big thumbs up, cool as well. I think that's something that we found when the PPP first opened up just a couple weeks ago. One thing that we found really quickly is a lot of the banks, financial institutions, really lacked technology as their power play because they couldn't get their online applications open to be able to accept applications. You see that with the Googles of the world and the Apples of the world and Intuits of the world for sure. Because when you pair up financial services, but with a company that is so entrenched in technology and knows how to do it so well and make changes quickly, you see what you developed. And that's really what I want to talk about too, like technology and its role in the pandemic. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So I think one of the things that's happening is the acceleration of not only the use of technology, which obviously we are doing all of this on video, so that's an explosion of that. In addition to that, we're also seeing acceleration of people getting more comfortable with doing commerce online. Mm-hmm. So we expect that people are going to small businesses are getting more comfortable now with respect to conducting some of their businesses where they had to feel that they had to actually physically go to a particular location. They can now actually do that online, take payments online. So, and of course, sell their products online. So we expect that people will move towards more of being comfortable in doing things electronically. And then, as I said, the nice thing about even in the case of PPP, the stitching together of your data, where you don't have to actually manually enter a lot of data that you may not remember. You have to go talk to your accountant because I don't remember my, actual payroll, etc. So how do I automatically grab all of that information and apply what I was referring to earlier as the knowledge engineering, which is the AI capability that takes the data, understands the rules, and automatically apply the rules to figure out what you qualify for. All of that is done in seconds, as opposed to
in seconds. And versus traditional financial firms, it's not seconds, it's days, if not weeks, if not months. So this is all very refreshing. In fact, I gotta bring it real quick. Carla Jenkins actually asked, is the PPP loan from Intuit only for customers?
Right now, the PPP loan that we are offering, so I want to differentiate between two things. The Intuit Aid Assist tool that I talked about is for everyone, and it's a free tool that's available for every small business and self-employed right now in the United States. So that's the first, because we needed to make sure that we built something that every person could use, and it's for free. Okay. Then, in addition to that, we decided that we would actually apply for being an SBA lender. And the good news is we just got approved a couple of days back. And then the question was, okay, what do we do with that? So turns out that the quickest thing that we could do was to focus on our payroll customers. The good news is, you may not know this, but 1 out of every 12 people in the United States who are small business employee is paid by QuickBooks Payroll.
Yes, I think ours is.
Yeah, so there is a very large population that we can enable. And then we also have the self-employed folks who file with TurboTax self-employed. So the good news with all of that is we have their data and their records. And with their permission, what we can do is take that data and get you the loan very, very fast. So that's streamlining that we can do.
Okay, I think I want to talk about that. So if you're self-employed and you file your taxes with TurboTax, then that means that you could also apply for the PPP loan through Intuit. Is that correct?
So I will say the following. As we talked about it, this is something that we're building today. So I just don't want to commit to that, but please go and check our website.
Okay.
To see if you're a self-employed, go to our website and make sure that you're actually now eligible for it, and we actually enable that capability.
Okay.
So I don't want to commit to it right now. I know that we are enabling the payroll folks first, and then adding self-employed, and it was like breaking news within our own organization.
Okay. That would be very helpful, because I do think a lot of my own self-employed clients I know, and also like that I've spoken to, I know a lot of them file their taxes with TurboTax because it's so easy to do. So I think if that did open up another PPP option for them.
Let me actually do this for you, which is as soon as I find out exactly, in fact, we have now added the self-employed. Mm-hmm. Who's filed with TurboTax self-employed, I will let you know. So
you let me know. He said he's going to let me know. I'm excited to hear that. All right. We've got a lot of questions and comments coming in. I'm going to share some of them with you. Chevelle John in Houston, Texas says, thank goodness for technology to keep us in check and operate as normal. I know. I'm so grateful for that. And certainly thank you for all you're doing at Intuit.
Great to hear, by the way. So I love that comment.
Wonderful. And then John Lim from Baltimore is asking, does the platform also cover state loans and grants? What about private ones like Hello Alice?
That's a great question. So the way I would answer it is, remember, the Intuit Aid Assist was actually built over the last 20 days. And what we had to figure out was, what is the biggest problem right now that our small businesses and self-employed are facing? And we decided that EIDL and PPP are the two big programs that is really applicable to a large population of people. So we decided to focus on that. And we are examining these other additional capabilities that are state and local ones to see, which one of those makes sense for us to add, but we have not made any of those decisions as yet.
Okay. And then I have another question, actually came a little earlier, John. I didn't miss this one. And John says, if you've applied for multiple programs, how does the accounting reporting work in terms of, say, for example, PPP, 75% for payroll, 25% for ops versus, say, other programs? What's the best way to track and report where these dollars are going for a small business?
Oh, that's actually another great question. First of all, in the Aid Assist tool, we tackle both EIDL and PPP, and we actually, in our computation, roll the EI. If you have already, for example, applied for EIDL, we actually roll that money into PPP because that's what the federal government rules are. So we try to make sure that we're, keeping you on track, making sure that if you're applying for both, that you're not sort of double dipping and so on. So that's one of the things that the tool actually already does. And then the forgiveness calculator that I talked about, by the way, we are building that forgiveness calculator into our QuickBooks Capital product. And that way what happens is, once you get the loan, you actually have to keep track of the spend in order to essentially prove that you spent the money in the way that you said you would in order to qualify for the actual refund. So what our Aid Assist tool does is gives you an estimate even before you apply for the loan as to what the forgiveness amount is. But once you get the money, you also are responsible for tracking the spend of that money. So that's the tool that we're in right now. I'm talking about what we're building within the QuickBooks Capital. And the same technology, by the way, the knowledge engineering capability that actually reasons exactly what those amounts are, is what we're building into the QuickBooks Capital tool.
Good. Super helpful. Carla is very happy. Carla says, good to know because I have a TurboTax account. And then John is saying, makes sense. Also, a great feat in such a short time. I know this is why we have technology companies helping the financial industry move things along so much more quickly. I don't know if those of you who've been on social media who are business owners, especially for something like someone like myself who monitors financial news on a daily, almost 24/7, there's been so much backlash from the public in terms of their business bank. In fact, I asked a question on Twitter just a couple of days ago saying, going through this PPP process, how many of you would reconsider who you're doing your business banking with? And an overwhelming majority said, absolutely, I'm reconsidering who I'm going to be doing my business banking with after this crisis is over. A lot of people even said, I'm even thinking about diversifying and having 2 business banks for my 1 business account, just because if this happens again, I don't want to be in a situation where, number 1, I can't file my PPP, and number 2, that the people behind who've been managing or been handling my bank accounts for all this time, they disappeared and they didn't treat me as a customer or a client. They treated me just as a number. And so we see that. And I'm so glad that Intuit has come up with this tool, because I think we need that objectiveness. We need that resource to be there when we need it 24/7. Because as you mentioned earlier, a lot of the information that we need to file this PPP is so hard to find, right? We do need, in the day of technology, how great it is for AI just to pull our payroll records and show this information. And most importantly, how helpful that will be to keep track of us making sure that we follow the rules so that those funds will be properly forgiven for those of us who are business owners, right? So Bharath, you're like for a financial advisor like myself, you're like my Santa Claus today, because this is just such good information. I'm excited to hear this, because I will tell you, in addition to speaking with you, what I do on a daily basis is speak with clients of all walks of life, and a significant portion of our clientele are business owners, and sort of the stress of the uneasiness of not only having to worry about if their businesses will be afloat, but if they can pay for payroll of employees that have been with them for years, who have been loyal, right? And they're seeing this. I mean, we see this with so many of our clients. There are so many of our friends. I see some of my clients who are restaurant owners driving from location to location, dropping off rice and beans and meat to their employees during this time, doing whatever they need to do to make sure that they can help in any way that they can. So thank you so much for this. John says this is fantastic. I couldn't agree with you more. One thing I think, I want to talk to you about, I think, so what do you think? Do you feel like, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but do you feel like small businesses, do you feel like we're doing enough? Do you feel like that there's enough resources, or do you feel like there's opportunity for better?
I think there is opportunity for the better. But the impressive thing that we have done is the speed at which the federal government has really responded in terms of approving the first tranche of loans that came out. The second one, by the way, the speed at which this is happening is incredible. But as you know, speed. Why is this speed so important? It's because every day that we don't have those funds is a day where we face incredible challenges for small businesses. So it's very hard to say, how much do we need to do and how much is enough or not enough. So I think I'm not an expert in that field, but I would argue that just seeing the speed at which the money is going away, are being spent, right, gives you a sense for the dire need. And, we are speculating that when this new tranche of money gets approved tomorrow or day after, all of that also will be gone really, really fast.
Really fast. Yeah. They were expecting like that the last amount of funds, they're expecting for us to have 1 month. We didn't have 1 month. We barely had 2 weeks. And in fact, one of my longtime clients, I spoke with him Monday. I said, did you get your PPP funds? And he says, Winnie, my bank didn't even open the application until 2 hours before it ran out of money. By the time I even got my documents together to submit the information, by the time I hit send, the money was out. So I think, that is sort of the reality. We have a lot of business owners, number one, don't that don't know this is available to them, that these resources are available. And number two, a lot of the financial firms, traditional banks, I'm in the financial industry, not including you, because Intuit's doing a great job in terms of technology. So we wouldn't even go there. And I consider Intuit a technology company. I think we need more of this, more of these. We need more of the combining of technology to our older industries to really take us so that we can move, like you said, much more quickly, much more efficiently,
Right.
making sure money gets to the hands of people who really need it. And it's done in an accurate fashion too. So, I mean, on that note, I would love to close out and just tell us, where can we learn more information? Can we learn more about what Intuit's bringing to us? So that way, those of us who are watching, who are business owners, feel like we have a leg up. And then, of course, sharing is caring. We want to make sure we share this out. I'm going to definitely share this with my community, my clients, and my friends.
So I think those of you who are really thinking about loan relief, please go to aidassist.intuit.com. More broadly, you should also go to the Intuit.com website if you want to learn about all of the COVID-related programs that Intuit is doing. So those are the two places that I point you to.
So great. So aidassist.intuit.com. We actually put that down below so that, because I know it's a little bit longer. And then the other one is just intuit.com, right?
Correct.
So those two websites, yeah. So it's so interesting because I know Intuit because it's really in my backyard. There's a beautiful location out in San Diego, and I have a lot of friends that work there, great people. But so many of us have known what Intuit does, which is TurboTax, which is Mint, which is QuickBooks, and all these great technology tools that, from a financial advisor standpoint, makes our life a lot easier. It makes my clients' life a lot easier. But I'm really happy to hear that they're taking a role to help small business owners during this very, very confusing time. And those of you who joined us,
one quick thing I want, sorry to interrupt. One quick thing I want to add is, if you go to Intuit, our aidassist.intuit.com, we also have a place where you can put your email. So what we want to do is send you more updates as things are breaking, like new news happens. We want to be able to send you an email saying that, hey, here is something that you may want to check out. So we also have a community link, by the way. So if you want to go ask questions about some of these programs, there is our community also is available on the site.
Very cool. So we showed you. You can see it right there. That's where you can submit your email address. And I actually really like the FAQs. I thought they were really helpful. So yeah, all great information. And thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bharath, for making the time. I know you are in so high demand right now. You're managing so many teams, helping so many small business owners. So when I got an opportunity to interview and have you on the show, I was just like, yes, let's do this. Absolutely. I'm hoping those of you who are watching that you enjoyed this, and it brought more value, and it gave you some more clarity and maybe some hope, most importantly, that, we're going to get through this together. But during that time, we realize things are tough, and we want to find other resources to bring you value. And hopefully, in the case of Intuit with technology, that this is something that you can feel comfortable using, because not only just for applying the PPP, but most importantly, how to make sure you stay compliant and have the amount of funds forgiven correctly. I think that's critical, and that's what I'm really happy to see is on that site. I'm actually going to go through and actually print the website out and highlight and do all that. Hopefully, that's okay with you.
Absolutely. And, it's an honor for me to be here today. Why? Because this is a way that we can reach those large number of small businesses who may not be aware of some of the things that we're doing, and get them aware of the fact that they should go to, aidassist.intuit.com to get the information. So I'm happy to be able to reach a large number of people being on this program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And so those of you who are watching, I guess a quick favor to both of us is sharing is caring, like we always say. And thank you so much for all of you who tune in with me each and every day for this live stream. This is really something I feel very passionate about, because I do think the more we can talk about these really important financial topics, the easier it is on our daily life, so that we do it, we talk about it, and you can move on and enjoy the rest of the day with your loved ones and family. So I see all of you sharing our live streams on your social pages and retweeting and whatnot. And I can't tell you how much it means to me and our team, because it makes all of this worth it. So we'll ask a favor to you again. If you don't mind doing the same today, that'd be so great. We have one last comment from Robin Stevens in Philadelphia saying technology will help the process be more seamless. Thank you for the information. So thank you, Robin, for also tuning in. Really appreciate you doing so. It always just takes one person to make that change. So thank you, Brock, for doing that. I feel like after this we've become good friends. So after this is all over, I want to go up to the San Francisco Bay Area and take you to lunch.
Absolutely. Thank you.
But thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for all of you for tuning in. We'll say goodbye to today, and again, we will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a little bit different. I think you're going to really enjoy tomorrow's interview as well. So do join me tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit earlier. It'll be at 1:30 Pacific time, which is going to be 4:30 Eastern Standard Time for those of you joining on the East Coast. And guess what? We're going to have a celebrity stylist, hairstylist, my longtime client, in fact, and he cuts hair for, let's see, Anne Hathaway, Julianne Moore, and countless other celebrities. I've asked him to come and teach us about how to maintain our haircuts in such a way where we can get ourselves cleaned up without doing so much damage. I think you're going to be in for a treat. He's a really, really nice guy. And usually he's in a different city every single week, following like the likes of Gwyneth Paltrow and whatnot. And so I was just joking with him. I was like, it only took you 4 years to agree to be on one of my programs. So he's going to come tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Come have some fun. Maybe bring a pair of, I don't know, like scissors. I'm going to bring a pair of my kids' scissors and we're going to have a little fun. Brock, maybe, you know what? Your haircut looks great, but if you're in the neighborhood, would love to see you join us as well.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, and we'll see you very soon. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.